So when I first got into coaching, I had this boss, and this fella was the supplement Nazi. Now, when I say he was a supplement Nazi, I don't mean he was like, everybody needs to be on supplements, you need to be taking everything. It was more of, if you want to take supplements, you got to go through me. And what I mean is, if everything wasn't perfect with someone's diet, he said you shouldn't be taking supplements. So you have to buy the tea all the time and earn your supplements. Like, the kids call it gatekeeping these days. So he gate kept supplements from people. And at the time, I was young and impressionable. This is 20 years ago. So I bought in. I was like, that's how it's got to be. Everything's got to be lined up. It's got to be perfect. You got to earn your supplements. 20 years of experience, a lot more education between then and now. And I realized what a crock of shit that was. Not only is it very difficult to define exactly what the perfect diet is, even if you could, it would be really hard to do that all the time, in everyday life. Maybe if you're a professional athlete, you're a special operator, you have some kind of very disciplined routine life that doesn't have anything else thrown in it. Maybe you could do it then. Most people can't. And regardless whether your diet's perfect or not, there are a lot of things supplement-wise that you can take that are going to improve how your body functions, improve your health, improve your performance, improve how you feel, all those kind of things. And it starts to get even more important to supplement our diets as we get older. I'm 40. That's why I'm making this video for folks 40 and over. What are the most important supplements for us that we can take every day or when we need them, and not spend a bajillion dollars to do it, and not take a bunch of shit that you don't need, because there are a ton of wastes of money out there that I would like to help you avoid those. So we're going to go over a list. I'm going to walk you through the supplements, what they do for you, and what the effective doses of those supplements are in this video. First up, one that has helped me immensely, very near and dear to my heart, nicotine. I like the Velo Spearmint Sixers, right amount of juice, not too much nausea, not too much head rush, just the perfect cruise throughout the day. I'm absolutely kidding. I have a problem. Okay, the real first one on the list, creatine. It is the most researched supplement on the planet, and with the most efficacy of all the supplements studied for what it produces. It has the longest history, it's safe, and it does help. Now, what does it help with? It helps with recovery, helps with making your muscle cells bigger if that's something that you want. It helps support strength gains. It helps support cognitive function. There's just something, especially under stress, that's been coming forth. I mean, probably in the past decade, they've been talking about this. It helps bring, the easiest way to say it is, it helps support energy production in your brain especially when you're under stress or underslept. And even it helps you when you're not either of those things. It really supports brain health and brain function. And important for us as hunters, we're strength endurance athletes. And one of the things it can help do is help with glycogen storage in your muscles. So it is a supplement that I honestly, even if you don't train, I think it's something that everybody could take, if even just for the brain health aspect of what it gives to you. And you only need like 5 milligrams a day. There's different loading protocols. You can do all that if you want to. And it can be helpful, especially when you're under stress and underslept, to help you get past all that. But the normal 5 gram per day dose is fine. It takes a while for it to load into your body and for you to start to get the results, but it is number one on the list. I think everybody should take creatine. And the whole thing about it, like causing bloat or cramping and all that kind of stuff, if you're hydrating and doing everything that you need to do, otherwise you'll be fine. And the thing you want to look out for is just that it is just straight up micronized creatine. You don't need any of the bullshit. You don't need some delivery system. You don't need any of that. Just 5 grams per day. You can throw it in a protein shake. Oftentimes I'll mix it into like a yogurt bowl that I'll make for breakfast. Both of those work. You can eat it or drink it. It either works just fine. But creatine is, I think, a must-have, especially for guys over 40 who want to perform, because we train, so that helps us a ton with maintaining muscle. But muscle loss, called sarcopenia, is a real thing as you start to age. And so maintaining as much muscle as you can for what you want to do based on your activities. I'm not saying you need to be some big, huge bodybuilder type guy or girl, but you do need to maintain muscle mass for your health and longevity, and creatine will absolutely help you do that. Next up, protein powder. Now, you might have said, well, hey, why not number one with that? Because, I think there are people that can eat enough protein and not need to supplement it. But however, it is difficult for people to eat enough protein. So that's why I put it on the list. You want to look for some kind of whey hydrolysate or isolate, because you still get the stuff with concentrate in it. That's the stuff that starts to give you the protein farts and makes your guts all rumbly. So, I mean, you have to go with your budget. If that's all you can get, then that's what you get. But just know the isolate and the hydrolysate are the ones that aren't going to make you fart like a crazy person all the time. As far as protein needs go, we need somewhere between like 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight and 1.9 kilograms per kilogram of body weight. Some of the recommendations go all the way up to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. From what I've seen in the research and everything, and anecdotally, I don't think you need that much protein to build muscle and also recover from training, and then just to make sure you maintain your bodily functions. But somewhere in that range, and so really all you have to do is look at is like, well, how much protein am I actually eating throughout the day? And then, it might only take you a scoop of protein a day to balance yourself out, but some kind of decent protein supplement is going to be huge for helping you recover, maintain your muscle mass, and also just maintain bodily functions. Third on the list, a multivitamin. They're cheap. Why not cover your bases? If you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, that's great. You might eat your fruits and vegetables out of balance, though. A lot of people don't like certain fruits and vegetables, so they avoid them, and they don't eat enough colors. So they don't get all of the micronutrients that they could get from their vegetables and fruits. Cover your bases. Balance yourself out. Make sure you got it covered. You're not going to really waste any money. Jesus, you can get them for like $8, and all of the smart nutritionists, nutrition coaches, dietitians that I've talked to, they say, why not? They'll say, there's one study from years ago that say that they don't help, but it was like the context of it was shitty. They're cheap. Cover your bases. You don't need to spend $1 bajillion per month on like athletic greens and all of this kind of bullshit. Eat like an adult, take a multivitamin, and you'll cover your bases from a micronutrient standpoint. Third on the list, one you've likely heard of before, fish oil. Supplementing with omega-3s does a lot for us. It does a lot for brain health. It does a lot for heart health. The two things that we got to keep going if we want to keep having a full life and doing the things that we love to do is we got to keep our ticker moving and we got to keep our brain working. It helps with both of those things, but that's not all that it does. There's actually some evidence that it supports endurance capacity, that it actually gives you more endurance capacity if you supplement with it regularly. Now, that's one of the things that I should talk about with all these supplements. It's not like one of those instant performance boosts that you might get from certain things, like maybe taking caffeine. Caffeine, you will get an instant performance boost from. I'm not going to talk about caffeine much more in this video because I think most people are probably drinking some coffee and stuff. But these supplements have to build over time. Creatine, the fish oil, all that kind of stuff. It's just stuff that you take regularly to support function. But we do know that it does help with endurance gains, with endurance capacity. There's even some evidence that it helps with strength gains, but it does so much for your body, especially heart and your brain. Fish oil should be on the list, especially if you're 40 or older, just to make sure that, your fat intake is balanced and you're taking care of your heart and you're taking care of your brain. So another thing that happens when you get around 40, even earlier, is your nitric oxide production starts to tank, and that messes with your vascular system. Taking some kind of nitric oxide booster helps to keep your blood vessels open and keep blood flowing. So we're talking about, it can decrease blood pressure, but also just helps the entire function of your cardiovascular system. So I'm not talking about NO Explode or any of that kind of stuff that maybe we used to take when we were teenagers in our 20s. I'm talking about precursors to creating nitric oxide in your body. Another thing that happens when we start to get around this age, guys have a hard time getting boners, and that's not always psychological or a testosterone thing. Sometimes it's a vascular thing. And so you got to get your blood vessels open back up and you'll start to see your boners come back. But anyway, we're going to talk about two things with that. L-citrulline. So you take L-citrulline, the conversion process actually produces more. Well, it converts to L-arginine. Arginine turns into, helps produce nitric oxide in your body. So taking that is going to help. Now, I'm not going to talk about, is some evidence that it helps with endurance capacity and oxygen efficiency. It's not as strong as another supplement I'm going to talk about, but it can help with that. But the biggest thing is just keeping your vascular system healthy and functioning. But it converts to L-arginine in your body, which is a precursor to nitric oxide, which is important for all the functions that I just mentioned. You can also just take L-arginine. Now, this doesn't have as strong of a nitric oxide production in your effect in your body, but it does, just because of how it's converted in your body when you ingest it, right? So L-citrulline actually produces more nitric oxide, but L-arginine will do the same. You can take them both. You can now talk about how to do that. But here's the thing. If you are having a hard time getting boners, the evidence for this helping with boner production is stronger than L-citrulline. They both should help. The evidence for that is stronger. Now, how much are you going to take? Somewhere between 6 to 8 grams of L-citrulline throughout the day. If you want to take it to maybe help with a performance boost, you would take that 6 to 8 grams, a couple of hours before you train. And then the dose for L-arginine is similar. Now you can just take that and do 3 grams of L-citrulline and 3 grams of L-arginine and kind of take it that way. You can take one, you can take the other. But I think they're really important for nitric oxide production, especially, we need oxygen to flow through our bodies and we need the highway to do that, especially for those of us that like to do mountain hunting, might go to higher elevations, all of those kind of things. We need the ability for our cardiovascular system to be efficient. And to do that, we have to keep things flowing. We have to keep our blood vessels open. And like I said, your nitric oxide production tanks after 40 and it just keeps declining. So it's one of those, they're those kind of supplements that will help your function into older age. And I think they're a really good idea to take them. Now, next up is some kind of dietary nitrate. You're typically going to get that from some kind of a beetroot supplement. Now the conversion is different. The nitrates go to nitrites and then convert into nitric oxide in your body. So that conversion chain actually helps with oxygen efficiency more than L-citrulline or L-arginine. So you can get an immediate performance boost from taking some kind of dietary nitrate, like a beetroot powder, or those are beetroot gummies, which I like because I'm perpetually 12 years old and I like to eat gummies. So you could take that pre-workout and actually, get a performance boost out of it. You want to take about 400 to 800 milligrams before 2 to 3 hours before you go train, and especially during endurance exercise, and it can help with oxygen efficiency in your body and improve your performance. If you're getting ready to go for a big hunt or maybe some other kind of event, you can actually kind of load it into your body for the 3 to 6 days before you go to improve your oxygen efficiency. This can be helpful if you're going to altitude. Now, it's not going to help you adapt to altitude, but it can, at a baseline, help with the functions to make it so that it's easier for you to adapt to altitude or just perform better at altitude by taking it, because the biggest limiter at altitude is your access to oxygen. So it's a really good one to have in the arsenal. If you were going to choose, I would consistently just take L-citrulline or L-arginine or both. But if you want to throw the beetroot powder in there too, I think that would be a really solid idea, especially if you're someone that goes to altitude to hunt. Next up is something that a lot of people are deficient in, and that is magnesium. Now, I like magnesium glycinate first because, the other forms can be a little tougher on your stomach. Magnesium citrate isn't, but some of the other ones, the non-chelated forms, can be a little rougher on your stomach. So you get the farts, you get the poops, you just have runny poops, and it's not pleasant. I've been through it. It ain't nice. Now, magnesium, why? It helps with a ton of shit. It helps with ATP production, which is the energy that you use to move. You convert fat, you convert carbs into ATP, and that's what you use for muscular contractions and other functions in your body. It helps with nerve function. It helps directly with muscular contraction. It helps with relaxation. It helps with the contraction and relax cycles of your muscles. And it also helps to support sleep, which is sometimes very difficult for people when you get to be around our age, you know? So it's a hugely beneficial supplement for a lot of different reasons in your body. So I think, especially as we start to get older, you know, we want to keep nerves healthy, because that's the first thing that really starts to degenerate is our nerves. And that's why we lose power first. The first two physical abilities to go are power and strength, just because we don't have the same level of nerve conduction velocity. So we'll keep our nervous system healthy by training, by learning new shit, by doing power and strength work. But having some extra support there is really good. Supporting your sleep and supporting all of these different functions throughout your body is hugely important, especially as we start to age. So magnesium glycinate is a really good one to have on your list. It's not very expensive. You're going to take like 200 to 400 milligrams at night in the evening before you go to bed. And you're going to want to walk yourself up to see if you need to work on how your stomach tolerates it, because some people still have a hard time tolerating it. So I wouldn't jump right into the 400 milligram dose. I'd start with like 100 and maybe kind of titrate yourself up to 400 over time. That's what I had to do. I started at 200 and now I take 400 milligrams every evening. Something I forgot to mention about magnesium glycinate. Magnesium helps to support healthy blood pressure as well, which we talked about other stuff that's going to help support healthy blood pressure. We need, what do you hear all the time from the older folks in your life? They're on blood pressure medication. Their doctor's worried about their blood pressure, all of that kind of stuff. So obviously not eating like an asshole is going to help, and exercising is going to help too. But having some extra support is also a really good thing that might end up keeping you off medication, especially if you have a history of heart problems or blood pressure issues in your family. Next up is an adaptogen. It's called ashwagandha. So this is going to help balance out hormones and help you adapt to stress. So instead of jumping your stress hormones through the roof, it helps to balance those out. It also helps to decrease your perceived level of stress, which is important. It can aid with relaxation, with sleep, with all of that kind of stuff. But also it's been shown if you supplement with it regularly, it can help to improve your VO2 max and your endurance. There's also been some evidence that it supports strength gains, but as far as the exercise side goes, it's the endurance and VO2 max side that has the strongest evidence. It's something that I've taken for years. You know, I used to take rhodiola rosea, similar thing. I've had better results with ashwagandha, so I like it a lot. So what you're going to do is take 600 total milligrams per day, 300 in the morning, 300 at night. I just kind of pair it with like magnesium glycinate when I take that. And you're going to take it for 8 to 12 weeks at a time. And then you're going to cycle off of it for 2 to 4 weeks at a time, just so you can keep the effect. I mean, you can constantly take it, but the effect won't be as strong. So 8 to 12 weeks, especially if you know you're going to be going through a really stressful time. Maybe it's hunting season and you know you're going to be hunting hard the whole time. Could be a stressful season at work, whatever it might be. It's going to help you sleep. It's going to help you adapt to stress. It's going to help keep your perceived stress down. And if you're in a hard training cycle, it's going to help with, support your VO2 max, your oxygen, not necessarily your oxygen efficiency, but your VO2 max and your endurance. And there's a patented extract called KSM 66, and that's typically what you're going to look for in the supplement. Again, I like the gummies because I'm full of Brazil. So those are the big ones. It's not a super extensive list. Look, we're looking for health and some moderate performance gains to support our training so we can get performance gains. We don't have to go crazy with a bunch of supplements. BCAAs, they don't really have any research to support them, especially if you're eating adequate protein, things like that. So if you're seeing all this fancy concocted bullshit, it's probably not worth your money. You want to keep it simple with stuff like this so that you're taking care of your health, you're taking care of your longevity, and you're allowing yourself to train in a way that boosts your performance while also dealing with all the stress in your life. One thing I will add, I don't have them on me right now, but electrolytes can be useful. Now, this whole push to have them every morning because you need them for hydration, that's bullshit. There's no evidence to support that, because you're getting enough sodium and other things from your other electrolytes from your diet. You're getting enough. You don't need it. So as long as you're drinking enough water, your hydration levels are going to be fine. Where it can be useful is if you have a long workout on a hot day and you're going to be sweating a lot. If you're going into the backcountry for a few day hunt and you're going to be pushing, it could be useful there. And if you're going to altitude, because your electrolyte balance can get messed up because you're just offloading so much more fluids. You're going to piss more, you're breathing more. So taking in some electrolytes can help balance out your fluids so that you don't dehydrate even more than you are. and so that you just keep the balance so your body functions as it should. You're looking at like 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of sodium per liter of water if you're going to do that. But the thing is, and that's just general, but the best thing to do is just to go get a sweat test and see what kind of sweater you are and see what your replacements really need to be like. But baseline, 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams per liter of water is what's going to help. Is what the research says. You know, this is personal stuff that you have to experiment with as well. See how you feel, see how you respond, and go from there. But they are useful in training situations when it's going to be a hot or a long workout, when we're going into the backcountry, or when we're going to altitude. Outside of that, it's not super useful to take electrolytes. Again, short list of supplements. You don't need to go crazy. You just need to do the stuff that's going to support your function as you hit 40, start getting older, so you maintain your health, your longevity, and your ability to do the shit that you just like to do.